talk to you about 3D printing on my Makerbot Replicator 2X, which has been a blast. There's been a lot of frustration involved, and I mean, probably in some cases some of my frustrations are more than most owners of this 3D printer because, well, for one thing, on my right extruder the thermocouple was Fritzola on it. Didn't really manifest itself till after I'd had it for a while. So that was a whole ordeal, figuring it out and then replacing it. No going into the Genius Bar at Apple, handing over my printer and them doing their magic, and all of a sudden I am back in business. Nope. I had to do a kind of give and take with Makerbot support and find time. I have a day job, so while I'm doing that, I can't be messing around with my printer and trying to fix it and all that. So it took a while. I've learned a lot. I feel more comfortable taking my printer apart and putting it back together. But honestly, I'd rather print things on my printer than be taking it apart and putting it back together. So, but overall, I've had a blast with the thing. It's let me look at things and go, I could make one of those, or I could make a replacement part. I could fix this thing without going to the store and buying something. Or I like this. I like this a lot. The idea of a lot of times when you go and buy something at the hardware store or whatever store, it's a compromise because they're making something not for one specific customized use. They're making something that can be used across the board by hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions of customers. So they've got to make it with, and be, sometimes it's pretty creative what they do. Make something, the first example that comes to mind is a window air conditioner. Okay? There's a certain range of dimensions that a particular window air conditioner, range of dimensions of windows that the window air conditioner you buy at the store is designed to handle. Alright, so usually on these things they have these slidey things on the side that expand out to fill in the dimensions of the window that are not taken up by the air conditioner itself, because you don't want these big gaps on the sides. I mean, then it wouldn't really do the job very well. As you probably are aware of if you've ever had one of these things, is they don't work too great. They're usually kind of flimsy. They kind of take a bit of futzing with to get in right, and I usually end up taping around the sides because you never get a good seal. And these accordion things to adjust, move in and out, don't work very well. They have to make something that moves in and out because they don't know the exact size of your window. And if they made a different window air conditioner for every possible size there is, that's just not a reasonable proposition. Obviously, if you could have the perfect window air conditioner as far as fitting in the window, you wouldn't have to be moving some crazy thing like that, right? You would just have something that basically you slide the window up to the proper height and you just slide the thing in and it fits nice and snug. Maybe it has a little insulation around the edge, little foam or sort of rubberized material that seals the edge, and you're done. And if you're thinking to design even more, maybe there'd be the piece that's around there would be a certain thickness. It wouldn't just be a thin layer of plastic, but maybe it would have some foam insulation in it, so that, I don't know if you've ever felt the plastic on those accordion things, but usually you can kind of feel heat coming from the outside on the plastic on a hot day. So that's not a good thing if you're trying to be efficient in cooling your room. So the idea of being a maker and being able to look at it and go, I can measure exactly the dimensions of the window. And I can measure the dimensions of the air conditioner, minus that accordion stuff. And I can design something for that window that attaches to the air conditioner and fits exactly into that window, because I'm going to use the same window every year. Right? I don't need to worry about the thousands, millions of other people's windows and the size of them. Just mine. So I can design and make something specific that will be easy to take in, to take out of the window when it's time to put it away in the winter, and something that's easy to put in the window when it's getting hot. Now you might go, oh, you've done that? That's pretty cool. I haven't done that. That's just a thought. But it's a cool thought because there are things I've done. Not very many, but for example, you can find on Thingiverse an object I designed, a thing I designed, as they like to call it, which is basically a furnace duct adapter. So it's just got a wider end on one end and a narrower end, and it tapers. It's an adapter, so you stick it over something, it fits, and then you stick something over the narrow end. So what did I do this for? Well, there was a piece of aluminum ducting connecting the furnace vent up over here down to behind the computer, an intake for a duct that goes to a vent on the wall on the other side of this wall. And it broke. It was there, it came with the house. So for quite some time, there wasn't anything there, and the furnace would either dump heat or cold air right into this area where I didn't want it. In fact, it's kind of a little chilly in here right now because the air conditioner is right over here in my workshop, which is the furnace room. But it was a lot worse before. So anyway, I bought some of this flexible duct because the other stuff got damaged. I couldn't get it to fit. It was just not quite big enough to fit over the ends, either end of these duct pipes. So I tried cutting it and kind of trying to split it and get it over, and it just digressed into a mess. But in a way, that's what you get when you go to your hardware store, right? Makes sense. They sell a limited number of sizes of things to try to cover the most people possible. So if you've got something that may be kind of old, like I'm going to guess that duct connection might be, I don't know, as old as the house, maybe not. But regardless, maybe it wasn't even originally designed for the flexible aluminum hose connection. I could not find what I needed at the hardware store. I could not find what I needed online. But with a 3D printer, fortunately, the size of the diameter of the pipe was just barely small enough to fit. I could design that adapter and print it out in one piece on my 3D printer. So I used SketchUp, Google SketchUp, and I designed this adapter. My first attempt was a fail. Basically, I didn't know certain things that I needed to do in SketchUp, etc. Printed it out, it didn't come out right because it wasn't what they say watertight, even though it's not something you're putting in water. But it can confuse the software called the slicer that basically comes up with the instructions to send to the printer to actually make the object. So finally, long story short, I designed it right. I printed one, it looked great. I printed another one for the other side, same thing. It kind of sat around, and they fit on the ends of the two sides. It sat there on the ends for a while till I actually got to go to the store and get a piece, and I put they fit on the ends there. So now it's connected. Now I really should. They're just kind of dry fitted, if you will. I don't want to glue it, but I was looking for clamps, and I couldn't find any clamps. You know, the screw kinds that you tighten and they get to go in and in. I couldn't find any clamps that were the right size. I did find some larger clamps that weren't too small. The problem is they were way too big. And there was nothing in between. Again, the same point, right? The same point. They just sell a very limited selection to cover the biggest possible customer base possible. For those specialized things, you've got to either use what they're selling, either you're lucky and they fit exactly, or you've got to adapt them somehow and they don't work quite the way you want them to, but you compromise. As a maker, the better you get at it, the more you know about it, the less you have to compromise. And that is a good thing. So I'm just running off here at the mouth talking about the benefits of being a maker and benefits of a 3D printer if you can learn how to design things. And SketchUp is a pretty easy program to use. I would consider myself a newbie when it comes to using SketchUp, but the more you use it, the better you get at it. Practice, practice, practice. There's still some things I really want to know how to do that I don't know how to do. So anyway,